Now, if Africa needs coaches, that implies that people need to need to become coaches. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. I think that when we take on the role of a coach, I think you take on an extremely important responsibility. You're working with other people's lives, and as much as we think coaches can have fantastic impact, if they do the wrong things or they're not skilled, they can potentially damage the people that they're working with. So it's not even a recommendation. We will only work with Gallup certified strength coaches because they obviously operate in our methodology, but we know it is a stamp of a high coaching standard. We know that people that are certified can be responsible and they can be relied upon in terms of following the methodology, ensuring the impact works, and working with people in a way that is ethical in terms of the ICF, the International Coaching Federation requirements, that are working with people in terms of developing their talents, that they're not going to then move into unethical practice or be a therapist or do any of those sort of strange things. And one of the downsides, I think, of the assessment is people read it and they only see it on one level, and they think that without a coaching certification, they can navigate that. And we would just really advise people not to do that, because you do take a lot of accountability and responsibility. So we advocate and we demand for our coaching panel that you do certify. And the advantages of that is that you become part of the Gallup global coaches community. There's ongoing support and mentorship in terms of that. There are master classes. We get totally up to date in terms of continuously professional development, and we get the latest information around Gallup tools and so forth. And that would be, I think, our contribution to our clients, is that we will do it in a serious way because we think coaching is a serious profession.
I think what you said in terms of the responsibility and the ethical responsibility is really key for me. I had a conversation recently with a manager who read her report, a full 34 report, and her strategic was at number 32. And she told me, Margriet, how can this be? I am being paid to think strategically every day, and now you telling me, your assessment tells me that I'm not strategic at all. How does that work? But because I'm a Gallup certified coach and I've been trained in what the strength and talent of strategic actually means, I could explain to her that does not mean that she can't think strategically at all. It just means that she can't see the different options within seconds, and that she doesn't have to worry about that. And we started working on strategies on how she can use her top 10, and looking back at her peak performances, where she has used her top 10 to think strategically. So I think it's absolutely key, specifically because we've got a responsibility to help people build their future. And people take our word and they built their lives on it. It's such an important part, being certified.
Margriet, you're so right, eh? And this issue about strategy competence is one that is incredibly sensitive, especially amongst executives and leaders and so forth. And, the temptation is to delve to your bottom and go, ooh, strategy, so I must rush out and go do 7 MBAs. You may, if your learner is in your top 5, that's fine, but it's not a solution. And I think that when we work with people that understand that whilst they're unique and they like that they're not perfect and that there will be some gaps, then not to panic, because they are thinking human beings that probably execute and operate in all 4 domains that are important: executing, influencing, relationship building, and strategic thinking. As one coach in Gallup in Omaha reminded me, we all think, right? It's just, what are we naturally dominant? and how we can rearrange and pair our themes becomes mission critical. This is why, when we want to work with certified coaches, the value they bring is these types of insights they build on. Otherwise, you can very easily get into a negative spiral going, my strategic is number 34. I can never be strategic. I'm an imposter in my position, and, diminishing rate of return, because we know that even if you go on training programs for your 34, you're not going to get exponential performance because that's not naturally who you are. But I'm sure that in this person's top 10, they had other strategic thinking strengths, and combined with their execution strengths, they could probably be as strategic as most. And it's that type of conversation, and I think an insight that adds value to our clients.
So, one thing that I think Gallup did right was to offer the certification virtually. So now there's no excuse for people in Africa to actually become a Gallup Global certified strengths coach.
Yeah, Makrit, you're absolutely right. So no travel, no visas, no extra costs around that. What I love about the virtual program is that it comes to you. So literally you can sit in your study with your slippers on. We don't mind. You'll have access to your manual tote bag of tools. You'll have access to your online digital kit. You'll spend 4 days with us in a highly interactive, practical way to learn how to coach. Using strengths, understanding all 34, both the depth of them and how to pair them, how to work with leaders and managers, understanding the leaders and managers impact about 70% of the variability of your employee engagement, which is the new sort of gold standard for organizations. It impacts people's well-being, which is the other big trend that's coming out of the pandemic. And then we spend a lot of time working with teams. And I know that's one of your favorite sections around the team grid and so on. And that's how we can impact groups of people and help managers get the best out of their teams and vice versa.